can only, since this has happened over and over, and I can only ascertain at this point that there has to be some racial undertones to this. I've had a lot of business in Norfolk myself over the years, have never been treated the way he has. And it just seems to be a heck of a lot more than a coincidence that just goes on and on. Other jurisdictions throughout the Commonwealth occasionally make mistakes. It could be an inexperienced officer, sometimes a rogue officer, sometimes a mistaken interpretation of the code. But when it's brought to their attention, they learn from it and they correct the issues and they go on. Norfolk seems to never learn from this. It just happens over and over again. There's one individual that's been harassed over being a gun owner, that he and his wife have lawsuits that are progressing now through the federal courts. Mr. Moore has been awarded a settlement by the city for the illegal actions of the police against him before, yet it continues to happen. And the lawlessness of the Norfolk police as they continue to detain and harass law-abiding citizens is disgraceful. I'm also appalled that police spokesman Chris Amos so easily excuses the behavior by saying, "We are not at liberty to just refuse to respond to a call for service," as if the presence of any black man who legally carries a firearm is justification for the city to trample his rights, up to and including pointing a loaded gun in his face, as happened on one of those occasions. Unfortunately, these incidents reflect a lack of leadership of this council, which deigns to show its contempt for selective rights of the people of the Commonwealth in contravention to the rule of law, the state code, and the constitutions of Virginia and the United States. Mr. Wynn seems to somehow think that this is an NRA issue, and I don't know where that comes from. Mr. Randy Wright's comments, which seem to suggest that regardless of the law, there are some places people shouldn't be allowed a defensive sidearm, begs the question, just where are our lives no longer valuable? Just where is the means to defense of human life no longer appropriate? I'm going to reiterate my comments from when I spoke to you the last time we came to protest the lack of respect for the laws and the rights of the citizenry. And my comments were then and are now. The people expect the Norfolk police to obey the law. The people expect the Norfolk City Council to show some leadership and respect the rights of the citizens. Thank you.
Aubrey Jones.
Hello, Mayor and Council. I'm Aubrey Dwight Jones Jr. I'd like to ditto everything he said with harassment of Danladi Moore as a dear friend of mine, and I'd also like to account on the harassment of the Norfolk cops on my own behalf. There was an incident where I was very tired from a long strenuous day of working. My license was suspended, and I was sleeping in my friend's car, and while he was attending to his business, I then woke up with a light in my eye asking for my social security number, and then I was asking for what, because as I think you all know, did I have the right to know why my social security number was being asked for? I was asked again, and then after that I was snatched out of the car, slammed against the fence, $350 cell phone, slammed on the ground, and stepped on, and I went to jail for obstruction of justice. I stayed in jail for 2.5 weeks waiting on a bond hearing, surrounded by a lot of people that should have been in there, but at the same time a lot of people that should not have been in there. There were people in there for trespassing on their own property, somebody that received stolen goods and found out that his goods were stolen, and he returned it to the police, and the police arrested him for receiving stolen goods because he brought it back. So that gives people the might to not even do the right thing, and was subjected to a very hostile environment in jail, which I'm not used to being subjected to. And this is all when this cop, you know what I'm saying, they don't know. They don't know the law. I don't know if they have any sort of statute where they're not tested on the law. They have the right to go out there and they threatened to take me to jail for driving on a suspended license when I was in the passenger seat and the keys were in the driver's side seat, not even in the ignition, so I had no power over the vehicle whatsoever. And they, you know what I'm saying, they continue to spit false laws, and if the citizens don't know the laws, and of course this man has a badge, then he must be saying the right thing, which is not right. I think that the cops should be tested regularly, and I think they should have some sort of recorded device on them at all times during all arrests, so they can't go to court and say whatever they want, and because they have a badge, they will be believed before any other person will be believed. And I had to pay, on top of the cell phone being broke, there's $1 a day to stay in Norfolk City Jail, as well as the bond that I had to pay that guilty or innocent I do not get back, and I do not think that is right by any means.
Philip Van Cleef.
Mayor, City Council. Philip Van Cleve, President of the Virginia Citizens Defense League. I reside in Midlothian, Virginia. Well, I'm going to try not to repeat what's been said, because it will make the night go any longer than we have to, but basically, we're here because of, again, of some violations of the rights of gun owners. And in this case, and in many of the other cases before, it dealt with the issue of open carry. Let me just quickly say that you might wonder why do people want to open carry? Apparently, Mr. Ryder's not here. Just couldn't fathom the concept. There are several reasons to give you an idea if you're not a gun owner. One is one part of the Constitution we can actually exercise without begging the government for a right. If you open carry, you don't require a permit. You can just do it legally as long as you're allowed to own the gun. Number two is comfort. You know, hot summer day, and it does get hot and humid in Norfolk. It's just a lot more comfortable to have the gun out in the open. Police officers that work have to carry a gun concealed will tell you that they much prefer to carry it in the open. And also in Virginia, we actually have a law that requires us to open carry if we go in a restaurant that serves alcohol. We can't conceal carry there. So we're also forced by the state to do this. But whatever the reason, it is perfectly permissible. And in and of itself, a police officer, when he gets a call for a man who has a gun, if the gun is holstered and the man is not doing anything, or the woman is not doing anything unusual or illegal, that is not sufficient grounds for a Terry stop. There has to be more. He has to be brandishing the gun, causing a disturbance or something, but if he's just simply minding his own business, that's not enough for a Terry stop. And the problem here is they're going way beyond that stage, and that's the Supreme Court that's ruled on that. What we want as a group, we're not involved directly in any of these lawsuits. We're not going to get any money from these things, but we just simply want the city to get the police educated on this so that they don't do this. I don't know if they're doing it intentionally. It may just be ignorance of the law. I know at one time Fairfax had a problem like this. They sent out a memo to all the officers, and boy, it cleared up overnight. It was an amazing transformation, but somebody had to take the bull by the horns with it. So we really just want the problem fixed. However, these people that this has happened to are indeed unhappy. I would be very unhappy. And this time, I'm hoping Danladi puts another zero on that check, and hopefully this time you guys will know about it. Just because we got to do something to get somebody's attention. Maybe you can take care of it before it gets to that. And all those here that agree with what I've been saying about the problems here, getting the police trained on this, would you please stand? Okay, thank you. I have one other minor issue. We still have some no gun signs in your parks. And give me the name of the park real quick, and maybe you can talk to your park manager. Jeff Robertson Park.